I just want to give a heads up. Last week I did post that I was going to drop a review for Transformers 1 at the end of last week. I had my dates mixed up. That movie doesn't come out till this Friday, so that will be on this week's schedule. Now, let's get into the video today. I was skeptical upon the announcement of this entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought there was no way that Marvel could do this, to do this subject justice, to pull this off. But my God, they did. They crafted a film starring two men named Benedict. Unbelievable. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell a friend if you haven't. And if you're new here, check out the rest of the channel, and let me know what you think. Let's dive into Doctor Strange. Going into this film originally, I have to say that Doctor Strange was probably the character within the first three Phase origin films that I was least familiar with. Growing up reading comics, I obviously knew who he was, but I knew next to nothing about his origins, his allies, his adversaries. So I was really excited when this movie premiered just because it was a property that was sort of brand new to me. And that was a treat in and of itself. And I enjoyed this movie quite a bit the first time I saw it. Granted, there are a lot of similarities between Strange's personality and character arc with that of Tony and his story. But I mean, that's going to happen. When you run a multimedia conglomerate with thousands of characters under your belt, it's just inevitable. I acknowledge the similarities that are there, but it doesn't ruin my viewing experience, even to this day. The most refreshing aspect of Doctor Strange is how unique it is. Sure, it's an origin story. We've had like 10 of these up to this point. But this movie tackles an entire realm of this universe that we've never seen before. And it's a section of this universe I love returning to. We had never really seen, outside of the quick scenes or throwaway lines, the mystical, spiritual side of the MCU. And in Strange, we dive headfirst into it, being introduced to sorcery, interdimensional beings, astroforms, and all kinds of mystical spells and artifacts. And the visuals, man, the visuals in this film are some of the best, if not the best, in the MCU. They are enthralling. The unique and wondrous topsy-turvy inner workings of the mirror dimension, the insanity that is Strange's first encounter with the infinite multiverse, and then there's the dark and ominous yet weirdly beautiful stylings of Dormammu's dark dimension. I've never done acid, but a lot of this movie feels like the good parts of an acid trip. It's magical. And sure, some pieces feel like a bit of a ripoff of Inception, but that's okay, right? I mean, every movie is inspired by other movies. All of that is great, but I do think the incredible CGI tends to overpower the rest of this film from a visual standpoint. And what I mean by that is, I think this movie, outside of just the CGI portions, is still one of the best looking movies in the franchise, and I think this gets forgotten. The set designs look so tangible and authentic. The action set pieces are so intricately crafted to stand out among this action-heavy universe. The cinematography is gorgeous, and the way that Derrickson frames his scenes are just so visually appealing. It's sad that him and Marvel had their split. I know a lot of people enjoy Raimi's work. I'm not really one of them. And I don't mind the second Doctor Strange, but I think Derrickson was a perfect choice to helm this character's story, and it sucks that we didn't get to see him continue. Benedict Cumberbatch, well, actually both Benedicts are fantastic in this movie. I had seen Cumberbatch in maybe one or two things before this and knew he was a talented actor, but man, he just sells this character through and through. I mean, the beginning of this movie, what a pompous asshole. And then through his transition into this mystical hero, he emits such a wide range of emotions as he has his core beliefs challenged and his life altered forever. And there are parts of this movie that are so emotional and you feel it because of his performance. And Benedict Wong, I wasn't familiar with him really at all. I saw him in maybe Prometheus and that was about it. And he plays such a fun sidekick to Cumberbatch's Strange. Mordo is also a very enjoyable ally turned enemy, played expertly by Chiwetel Ejiofor. And I know a lot of people have problems with Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, and I understand it. It is sort of odd, but it was never anything that ruined the experience for me. I mean, if we're being honest, Tilda Swinton is a phenomenal actress, and she's great in this movie. And Rachel McAdams, always solid, especially here as Strange's love interest, Christine. I mean, every scene between these two characters, it's like you're walking on eggshells. The performances in this film really are some of the strongest in this universe, I think. And I did not forget. Lastly, we have Mads Mikkelsen. Man, in my opinion, one of the best actors working today. Done so dirty by Marvel. I mean, Caecilius, what an absolute waste. Just the most bland, throwaway villain so far in this franchise. There's just no depth to this character. We don't get a lot of time with him, and he just never gets an opportunity to really shine. Admittedly, his confrontations with Strange, like inside the Sanctum and in the climax, they're fun. But that's more of a testament to how Derrickson executed those action set pieces more than it is Caecilius' character. I just wish we would have gotten more from him. Mikkelsen is better than this. And now, when they had a chance to redeem him by letting him take on the role of Doctor Doom, which he would have been fantastic at, I think we all know that, they brought back RDJ. Stupid. Everyone knows it should have been Mads that got the second chance. And look, I like the design of this character. I think the purple eyes are a nice added touch. But the villains in this film really are the weakest part. Dormammu is built up the whole time throughout this movie as this interdimensional, soul-sucking, universal threat. And we only really get to see him for about 3 minutes, if that. And he's just this giant CGI face thing. I think taking him out and focusing solely on Caecilius and his story and his goals and ambitions would have been a better move and created more of a complete narrative. Now, I know Dormammu is probably returning, but still, nobody knew that at this time. And listen, I know a lot of people think how Strange beats Dormammu is kind of lame. I've always kind of liked it, to be fair. It's fun and different. It's not just two guys fighting to see who's stronger. It's a battle of wits, and it's interesting. Doctor Strange isn't a perfect film. The villains suffer a lot, but what we do get is a fun foray into a new and interesting side of the MCU. We meet a handful of new and interesting characters and get to experience true magic in this universe really for the first time. Visually engrossing and performances that entrance you. This may be my favorite origin film in this franchise. Honestly, this movie was a good villain away from being in my top 10 in the MCU. It's unfortunate that Marvel still hasn't really figured this issue out. I know the MCU is in sort of a limbo state right now as they try to reestablish their footing. But look, RDJ had his time. Let Cumberbatch be the guy going forward. Strange should be our new Tony Stark.